In this video we will discuss UBI. UBI is an abbreviation that stands for Universal Basic Income, also known as basic income. It is the concept of the state or government covering your cost of living. First trials are ongoing around the world in some countries, and more states are considering universal basic income to welfare programs. You might wonder, what's the difference between UBI and welfare programs? UBI is a program in which every adult citizen receives a certain amount of money on a regular basis with minimal or no requirements for receiving the money. The main reason for universal basic income is to take the edge off poverty by increasing citizens' income, and that increases the quality of life. Welfare programs or social welfare refers to state programs that provide financial assistance to families or persons who cannot support themselves. The programs are usually funded by taxpayers or the state and are designed to cover costs of housing, food, healthcare, childcare, among others. So, the difference is UBI is for every adult and social welfare is for the few who are below the poverty line. In some countries that have implemented UBI, the concept replaces social welfare, and in other places the concept is auxiliary and does not replace existing welfare programs. Plans differ on who funds the basic income. Some plans call for tax increase on the rich, while others propose corporations should be taxed. According to Basic Income Earth Network, there are 5 characteristics that define basic income. These are: cash payment, which is distributed as funds and not coupons or vouchers; periodic, which means distributed in regular payments; individual, which is paid to every adult citizen and not just every household; universal, which is paid to all citizens regardless of their situation, whether rich or below poverty line; unconditional, which means there is no requirement to work. In 2020, Andrew Yang, who was a presidential candidate in United States, campaigned with a universal basic income proposal called Freedom Dividend. This was a plan that would respond to the increasing automation that will inevitably take away 1 in 3 jobs from American workers over the next decade. Andrew's proposal was to distribute $1,000 to each American adult each month. That would amount to $12,000 a year. This would be referred to as partial dividend, which means it's enough to help but not fully support adults and cause them to lose interest in working. Finland conducted a UBI experiment which began on the 1st of January 2017 and ended on the 31st of December 2018. It was conducted by Kela, which is the social insurance institution of Finland. The experiment involved 2,000 randomly selected people aged between 25 to 58 who were unemployed citizens. Some who formed the experiment group were initially receiving unemployment benefits. The experiment offered €50 more than what they were receiving before. Each person was paid a tax-exempt basic income amount of €560, which translates to $640 monthly. The results showed that 46% of the respondents agreed that basic income should be introduced in Finland. In United States, one of the closest examples of a functional universal basic income in place today is the Alaska Permanent Fund. The payments began in 1982 and the effects have been positive. This fund ensures every resident of that state receives a fixed income from state oil revenues. In 2017, every Alaskan received $1,100. Economists said that contrary to the thought that Alaskans would quit work, some have opted to working for fewer hours, and this may have contributed to employment growth in certain sectors. Countries that have experimented or are still experimenting on UBI are China, India, United States, Kenya, Brazil, Germany, Iran, Canada, Netherlands, Hong Kong, Finland, Namibia, and Macau. Everything has its advantages and disadvantages. So as expected, UBI has its own as well. So let's begin with the pros. Number 1. Universal basic income reduces poverty and income inequality. This in return improves physical and mental health. An example is Brazil. The poverty level in Brazil fell to the lowest level in 40 years after $100 a month began being distributed to about 25% of the population beginning in March 2020. Number 2. UBI guarantees income for non-working parents and caregivers. In an article, Guy Standing, a professor of development studies at the University of London, stated that a properly designed basic income system will reduce gender-based inequality, because on average the payment will represent a higher share of women's income. Another advantage of UBI in this case is that it will guarantee working parents more time to spend with their children, as they will reduce their working hours. Number 3. Universal basic income leads to positive job growth and lower school dropout rates. It would give employees the financial security to leave a bad job, or wait for a good job to come along. People won't go through the pressure of just taking on an awful job to pay their bills. It would also enable students to stay longer in school to be trained and improve their skills. Now let's look at the cons or the disadvantages of basic income. Number 1. Universal basic income takes money from the poor and gives it to everyone. This increases poverty and deprives the poor of much-needed targeted support. According to Robert Greenstein, president of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, he said that if you take the dollars targeted on people in the bottom fifth or 2/5 of the population and convert them into universal payments to the people all the way up the income scale, you're redistributing the income upwards. That would increase poverty rather than eradicating it. Number 2. UBI is very expensive. The UBI trial in Finland was found to be impossibly expensive since it would increase the government deficit by about 5% of GDP. A 2018 study found that a $1,000 stipend per month to each adult in United States would cost $3.81 trillion per year, or about 21% of the 2018 GDP. Number 3. UBI can cause laziness as it reduces the inducement to work. In the long run, it negatively affects the economy and leads to a shortage of labor and skills. For people who have worked, we all know that hard-earned income motivates people to work and be successful. But if people are paid to do nothing, this will cause a less effective economy. When working for your own money, it breeds a level of uncertainty for the future, and this makes you work even harder. But if UBI offers guaranteed security, it removes that uncertainty that may cause one to relax knowing that tomorrow is catered for. Do you think countries consider implementing a universal basic income? Please give this video a thumbs up and engage with us through comments below. Your spare time to watch this video is much appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more interesting and educative videos. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in to Capital Investments.